The dedication ceremony for the Adirondacks' first fully accessible park for people with disabilities was in 2005. The guy it's named after spoke there, John Dillon, an executive with International Paper, which donated the land. Don White, who was using a wheelchair and ran a group at the time called Upstate Access Network, he spoke too.
It's not only, you get up and around and the sights and the smells and the sounds of everything, but it's a therapeutic experience to be able to get out and have the independence to get off of, blacktop and concrete. It's just a great thing, and I commend them highly for what they've done.
The John Dillon Park opened the next year, but it's been hit or miss since, with several closures along the way, and another is coming this summer. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Clarkson University, offering over 95 programs of study with campuses in the Hudson Valley, Central, and Northern New York. More at clarkson.edu.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Friday, April 3rd. First up. It's been several weeks since a devastating explosion and fire injured multiple people at the Abundant Life Church in Boonville. As Randy Gorman reports for the New York Public News Network, faith is a big part of the community's healing process.
That fire on February 17th may have caused what state police described as catastrophic damage to the Abundant Life Church, but it has not stopped its members from gathering to pray. Just days after the explosion and fire, dozens of church members and visitors began gathering on Sundays at nearby Adirondack High School, which has offered them space for their services. They recently held Palm Sunday services in the school gym, and it was the first time Pastor Brandon Pitts made an appearance at church services since he and 4 Boonville Fire Department members were injured. Pitts spoke for about an hour, including a sermon, but he started out talking about the moment a propane fuel leak sparked that massive explosion.
Most of my body was on fire in some capacity, and I'm sure the other guys would share a very similar experience to that. There was a moment where I did not think that I was going to survive it.
With bandages on his hands and arms, the 43-year-old Pitts sprinkled in some lighthearted banter as he talked about how the Gospels recount Jesus leading his disciples in a boat across the water in stormy weather.
That would be my advice to somebody, just hypothetically, if you're ever involved in a building explosion, this would be my advice to you. You know what I mean? There's something on the other side.
Pitts and other church members have been talking about how their faith and their sense of community is getting them through this ordeal. Abundant Life's office manager, Lydia Huntress, says as devastating as the fire was, dealing with it has brought them closer together, especially members of the church and the fire department.
Those men that were involved in the explosion and the fire itself, they've been knit together in a way that is very unique.
Huntress says Abundant Life has received donations and notes of support from throughout the world. Church member Dawn Reva Crowfoot is aiding fundraising efforts to help those injured by the explosion and fire with the sale of a commemorative hoodie sweatshirt which says, "Tested by fire, held by grace" on the front of it.
Our community is a beautiful community. Everybody comes together in time of need, and I love where I live.
Church leaders are hoping to rebuild their sanctuary in the same spot where the building stood before, but there's a lot of paperwork and other details to deal with, including completing the demolition of the damaged building before that happens. Still, Maylia Pitts, the pastor's wife, is optimistic that will all work out.
I mean, again, we don't know all the ins and outs. We don't know all the details. Some of them are evolving, but I am very confident that we will rebuild, and it will be in the right time. However long that takes, whether it's a year or 2 years, it'll be at the right time when we're in that building.
In Utica, Randy Gorman for the New York Public News Network.
As we speak, right now, the Artemis II is on its way to an orbit around the moon. Its journey is helped by the technology of a Western New York company. The New York Public News Network's Michael Mroziak visited Moog Incorporated to learn about its contributions to the moon mission.
Good roll pitch.
When Artemis II roared off the launch pad Wednesday evening, it included parts developed in Western New York by Moog Incorporated. That has people within the Elma-based aerospace company feeling proud. Jim Steffen, Programs Director of Space Actuation Systems at Moog, says the emotions leading up to the launch felt like a roller coaster.
Certainly exciting to get ready for launch. As we get closer to launch, you get a little nervousness. And then certainly by the end of the evening, total excitement that, our hardware did what it performed.
That hardware includes actuators, which aided in the steering of the rocket. Steffen says think of them as pistons moving back and forth, moving the engine's nozzles.
Actually around T-minus 2.5, as they're going through their checkouts before launch, you'll see that they gimbal those actuators. They'll actually move, there's 2 actuators per nozzle, and they'll move those nozzles just to make sure that everything's functioning properly. And then right during launch, our actuators will push on those nozzles to point the rocket in the right direction.
There are Moog-made components on the Orion space capsule which aid in oxygen and environmental systems, keeping the crew of 4 astronauts alive. Steffen adds they also provided components they hope are never used. Hardware which would help the astronauts and their capsule eject from the rocket if a launch needs to be aborted. In Buffalo, I'm Michael Mroziak for the New York Public News Network.
The Adirondacks' only campground designed for people with disabilities is closing for the summer. John Dillon Park, which is near Long Lake, is operated by Paul Smith's College. The school says it's using the closure to upgrade the campground's drinking water system. As David Escobar reports, it's the latest in a series of setbacks.
When John Dillon Park opened in 2006, it became the Adirondacks' first fully accessible wilderness area for people with disabilities. The land is owned by International Paper, while Paul Smith's College runs the park's day-to-day operations. The site includes accessible lean-tos and other adaptive facilities designed for campers with disabilities. Earlier this year, state health officials told the college the park's drinking water system needed upgrades to meet state standards. So Paul Smith's decided to close the park this summer while it works on those fixes. Zoe Smith is the college's vice president of strategic initiatives.
We've known that we needed to make an investment in a more sustainable water system and have just been, working with the Department of Health over several years to try and solve that.
Smith says the park's ultraviolet water filtration system has been performing inconsistently for years. Replacing it will cost the college between $75,000 and $150,000. Smith says installing the new system will take time.
We're at a point right now where, in order to do that, we just need to take a pause and make sure that we're doing it right and that we're meeting our standards and also the standards from DOH and meeting expectations of the visitors of the park as well.
This summer's closure is the latest in a string of setbacks at John Dillon. The COVID pandemic forced the park to shut down in 2020, and a contract dispute in 2024 between Paul Smith's College and International Paper led to a delayed opening for campers. Those closures, along with this summer's shutdown, have been frustrating for Jason Thurston, the park's outreach coordinator. But he says the need for infrastructure upgrades has been clear for years, even when he joined the park in 2019.
I suddenly realized that there were some things that needed to be fixed because I learned that there were quite a few people that had gone there and not had a good experience.
Thurston, who's quadriplegic and uses a power wheelchair, says time has taken a toll on the park's access roads and trails, which he says don't all meet accessibility standards. He says improvements across the park, including the new drinking water system, could help strengthen a place that's already rare and special in the Adirondacks.
From the standpoint of a person that uses a wheelchair, it's way beyond anything else that's out there for somebody that, has limited abilities.
Paul Smith's College says the water system upgrades at John Dillon should take about a season to complete, though the timeline isn't fully certain. David Escobar, North Country Public Radio.
David Escobar is a Report for America Corps member who reports on diversity issues in the Adirondacks through a partnership between us, North Country Public Radio, and Adirondack Explorer. We have more news through the weekend on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by B. Children of Canton and Eddie Lawrence of Saranac Lake. Have a super weekend. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.